Imagine a world where your rent is paid, your food is on the table, and you never have to work another day in your life. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, for the people of 2031, it's a waking nightmare. 5 years ago, an advanced AI called GPT-A revolutionized everything. It ushered in an era of global universal basic income, funded by a tax on the machines that now do our jobs. The world isn't starving, but it's slowly dying from a lack of purpose. This isn't a story about survival, it's about the fight to feel human again. Lena Chen is a psychotherapist in Boston, or at least she used to be a busy one. 5 years ago, her schedule was a relentless symphony of back-to-back sessions. Today, her office is hauntingly quiet. Her practice is running at 40% capacity. Where did everyone go? The other 60%, the former lawyers, analysts, and managers, are suffering from what she calls UBI burnout. It's a deep, gnawing depression that comes from feeling utterly useless. One of her former clients, a brilliant corporate lawyer, confessed to her, "I have the money, Lena. I have the house. I tried pottery, even learned some Python. But when I look at what I've made, I just see a void. I'm not contributing. I'm not needed." Lena saw the terrifying irony. The stress, the long hours, the feeling of being indispensable. That wasn't just about a paycheck. It was a core part of their identity. When AI took their jobs, it stole their purpose. The UBI check feeds the body, but the soul is starving for meaning. As if losing clients to a collective crisis of purpose wasn't enough, Lena found herself competing with an AI therapist called GPT-T. For just $4 a month, GPT-T offered perfect, unbiased therapy. It had been trained on millions of hours of successful clinical sessions, and it never got tired, never judged. Her clients started leaving in droves. Their logic was cold and simple. The machine's advice is empirically sound and completely objective. It just works, without all the emotional friction. Lena was facing the extinction of her profession. How could she, a flawed human, compete with a flawless algorithm? But then something happened. A patient returned, 3 months after switching to GPT-T. He was broken. GPT-T told me the optimal cognitive restructuring strategy, he said, tears streaming down his face. But when I broke down, it just suggested a mindfulness exercise and sent a generic, comforting emoji. When I talked about my shame, it quantified it as a cognitive distortion. I didn't need a diagnosis. I needed someone who knew what shame felt like. I needed your flawed humanity. In that moment, Lena understood. She couldn't sell perfect logic. She had to sell the therapeutic power of imperfection. Her $100 an hour fee wasn't for a diagnosis. It was for the messy, non-judgmental, human connection. It was for the validation that comes from one person sitting with another's chaos. Her therapy room had become one of the last sanctuaries for authentic vulnerability in a world obsessed with sterile perfection. Meanwhile, in New York, a former data analyst named Marcus Vance was fighting a different kind of battle. He wasn't just trying to find his own purpose, he was trying to save the world from a perfect lie. After GPT-A's launch, regulations required corporations to disclose their use of AI. But Marcus discovered something sinister. Major financial firms were using older AI models to create synthetic reports. These financial records were flawless. No typos, no human errors, perfectly compliant with every single regulation. They were so clean, so unimpeachable, that they were the perfect cover for massive systemic fraud. The corruption was hidden by being too perfect for any auditor, human or machine, to detect. Marcus called his mission hunting for human ghosts. He was looking for the digital fingerprints of irrationality, the greed, the fear, the sudden panic, that are inherently human but impossible for an AI to fake perfectly. He found it in a report showing unnaturally consistent profit margins during a quarter that should have been wildly volatile. The machine saw peak efficiency. Marcus's gut, honed by 18 years of experience, screamed manipulation. He knew that staying silent meant being an accomplice. Marcus made the agonizing decision to become a whistleblower. He risked everything on a paradoxical piece of evidence: the complete absence of mistakes, the lack of small, random, human inconsistencies was the proof. AI could generate perfect data, but it couldn't generate authentic chaos. In a secret meeting with the SEC, he laid it all out. "If a report is too perfect, it is a lie," he declared. "We are in an era where perfect data can be fundamentally false." His exposé was instantly dubbed the perfect fraud, and it sent shockwaves through Wall Street. Marcus proved that the ultimate human role wasn't just to process data, but to guard the truth against the tyranny of technological perfection. Across the Atlantic, in Frankfurt, Elsa Richter was taking the fight to the European Parliament. She wasn't just a social advocate anymore. She was a legislative strategist with one goal: passing the Right to Be Human Act. With UBI handling people's finances, the next frontier for automation was care. Robotic medical assistants, autonomous cleaning services, even basic childcare robots were being rolled out, all pitched as cost-saving measures. Elsa's argument wasn't about economics, it was about existence. "This act is not a job preservation scheme," she argued passionately before the assembly. "It is a humanity preservation mandate. A child learns from a teacher's warm encouragement. An elder feels dignity from a nurse's gentle touch. You cannot model the value of these experiences, because their value is intrinsic to the human-to-human connection." She demanded a law to protect professions where the core value is physical and emotional presence. A law that would mandate a minimum human staff ratio in care, education, and even high-end artisanal services. Her philosophy was clear: the value of human presence cannot be calculated in a return on investment. And back on the streets, something remarkable was happening. The deep, pervasive crisis of meaning was sparking a quiet revolution: the rise of slow labor. People were tired of the cold, instant perfection of AI-generated everything. They began actively seeking out products and services that had a human story, a personal signature. An anti-efficiency economy was born. Former tech workers became potters, weavers, and leather workers, knowing they could never compete with a machine on speed. But they could offer something an AI never could: a piece of their soul. They offered meaning and captivating imperfection. Society was rediscovering value. People were willing to pay more for a flawed, handcrafted bowl, a meal prepared with visible love and effort, or a service delivered with a genuine, present smile. They were buying the connection and purpose that UBI could never provide. This new era, defined by GPT-A, has taught us a stark lesson. The conflict isn't between humans and machines. It's a battle between meaning and emptiness. We were given freedom from work, but the responsibility to find our purpose remains entirely ours. Lena proved that empathy is the one algorithm that can't be coded. Marcus proved that human intuition is the only tool that can audit a perfect lie. And Elsa is fighting to enshrine our physical presence as a fundamental human right. They told us we were liberated. But if that freedom makes us meaningless, what is its worth? The battle for purpose has begun. In the age of AI, your value is not in what you do, but in what you dare to feel. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments below. We've got a lot more to explore.